Among the hundreds of thousands of participants in last weekend's March for Our Lives rally in Washington, D.C., were two women who share an uncanny bond. William Brangham spoke with these two educators in the days before the march. It's part of our weekly series, Making the Grade.
I feel the change coming.
Yvonne, Cech and Diane Haneski have been friends for over 30 years. They joined the thousands who traveled to Washington, D.C. this past weekend. They met decades ago working at a radio station in Connecticut, and over the years, their lives have been strangely in sync. They both married men at the same station. They each got their masters at the same university. They had kids at almost exactly the same times, and they each became librarians. But here's where those similarities turn tragic. In 2012, Yvonne was a librarian at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. And Diana is a librarian at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida.
It was just total disbelief because I thought, how is that possible that in our friend group there are, this has happened twice. How is that possible? And I kept thinking it can't be true.
There has been a deadly shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut.
6 years ago in Newtown, a young man walked into the school with an AR-15 assault rifle and began shooting. Yvonne was preparing lessons for the day.
It was a Friday, and it was a beautiful blue sky December day, and I remember leaving for work that morning and thinking, this is going to be a great day.
Yvonne and her students survived by hiding in a closet. It took several hours before she realized that others hadn't been so lucky.
When they evacuated us to the firehouse nearby, that's when we kind of understood the enormity of what was going on. And when I got to the firehouse and heard that there were 2 classes of children missing, I thought, well, they must have found a place to hide like we did. They must have had to have found a spot.
20 elementary school kids and 6 educators were killed that day.
News of a school shooting in South Florida.
6 years later, another young man with another AR-15 walked into Diana's school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and started shooting.
911, what's your emergency? Okay, is anybody injured?
Yes, a lot of blood. Please help, please.
Diana was in a room with dozens of kids when the attack began. She immediately thought of what Yvonne had been through years before. So when what happens at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas starts to unfold, you're thinking of Yvonne and what she did?
Yes, and I thought of her before it even happened. I was always trying to have my keys and my phone and my radio with me. If I didn't have a pocket, I'd put a pouch on. Because of what she shared, how people that didn't have a key were in trouble, or if you couldn't unlock or lock something, you had a problem. But then, of course, when it actually was happening, the adrenaline kicked in, and my only focus was getting the kids in and safe. And I had, there was 4 other adults with me and 50 students, and I wanted them safe and hidden and calm. And that's what we did.
Yvonne, can you tell us where you were when you hear what has happened in Florida?
I was at work in the library, and I was in a meeting, and I had my phone on mute, but I could tell that the phone was going crazy, and so I excused myself from the meeting, and I quickly called back. I said, "What's going on?" And it was our friend Sue, and she said the shooting was at Diana's school, and I thought, okay, I've got to talk to her. I've got to talk to her, and. She picked up the phone, and the first thing she said to me was, how can we make this the last one?
That was the first thing you said?
I guess. It's hard to remember, but she remembers for me. Yeah, because it's too hard to believe. It was like surreal. It was like, this is really happening. It happened to you. It's happening at our school, too. So, yeah, that was my first reaction. This can't happen again. It can't. So we have to do something.
Both women are now part of a club of sorts, survivors of these horrible tragedies, who are trying to help each other cope.
I think my life is now sort of divided into before the shooting and after the shooting. And not because I want to stay focused on it. I'm constantly trying to reframe my thinking so that I can sort of have a normal life. But the truth is that it's part of your life forever. And you know, when we talked to the teachers from Columbine, and I thought, you know, I said, you know, how long does this take to get over? And they said, that's not how it works. You won't get over it. You will learn to coexist with it.
After the Parkland shooting, both Diana and Yvonne have become what they call reluctant activists for comprehensive gun control.
You know, Diana and I were saying we'd much rather be doing a book club right now than doing this.
It's our spring break too, for us. It's our spring break.
But we find ourselves in the position, I think, that we can't be silent. We have an obligation to protect the children of this country, and the only way to do that is to move the needle, change it. And if the NRA doesn't want to listen, I think they're going to be left behind.
And I think it's wrong to say you're going to solve a gun violence problem by adding more guns. That just doesn't make any sense, and you don't need to be a teacher to realize that. To arm a teacher, like in the situations we both described, I don't know how a gun would have helped us in our situation.
At times this past weekend, Yvonne Cech and Diana Haneski looked like two old friends enjoying each other's company.
Good time!
But at other moments,
She survived Sandy Hook and I survived Douglas.
the enormity of their experiences and the enormity of this movement they've joined was overwhelming.
Nobody said it was easy.
But these two friends say they'll stick with this for as long as it takes. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm William Brangham in Washington, D.C.